to our meeting of the Housing Committee for Brooklyn Community Board 9. We are calling this meeting to order. Time is now 7:06 p.m. All right. If I could just ask everyone to just go around the table, we'll just take attendance and establish a quorum. We'll start. Go ahead, Chris. Okay.
Diane.
Diane, Ms. Shepherd got you.
Second.
True. Drew Johnson, we have you.
Mark, man.
Mark Mann, we have you.
Vanya Mills.
Vanya Maris, we have you as well. And my name is Fred Baptiste. I am serving as the interim chair for the committee. This is done, just to set it for the record as well, this is just done by the bylaws for Brooklyn Community Board 9. When there's a vacancy in the position of chair, the chair can appoint somebody to act as chair for a meeting. So that is my intent, to act as chair for this meeting. But the intent is absolutely to make sure that we have a chair that is established for you as soon as possible. So I want to thank everyone for dealing with me for this evening. I have just a couple of items on this agenda that we wanted to go over. But I did also want to take the time to acknowledge. So as I'm saying that I'm acting chair, I think it was in the communication that was sent out to the committee. So Ms. Cobb, so she wasn't able to stay on and continue. She had do commitments, outside commitments. So she had resigned her position. I do want to take this time to just say thank you publicly to Ms. Cobb and to the committee for all the work that you have done. So we're going to do our best to try and keep you going, to keep the momentum going that you guys have established. And listen, we're going to rock and roll. And I thank everyone for your service and commitment. Okay, so let's go over. First, item number 2 that I have is just the review of the committee goals and objectives. I would just kind of like to get a level set on that one as well, so I understand what it is you're doing, and especially as we look at who the next leader is going to be, just to make sure that they understand that you guys have already set your charge and your goals, and I want to make sure they're able to keep that momentum going, as we said before. So I will open the floor. In terms of committee goals, have you had a conversation about that as well already, or
About
like goals, objectives that you would like to do as a committee?
Well, probably from one of the prior meetings, we talked about, what we would like to see happening with the housing committee. I know one of them was about the lien sales. I think the last time I was here, there was a nice presentation. I remember
Just Fix.
Right, that was a nice presentation about, I believe that was for apartment. Well, is that correct?
Yeah, it's a digital platform that was set up to basically allow tenants to get rent history on their building. Basically anything that would be within the HPD or in a public data forum for tenants and residents. That information is sort of not just available, but sort of collected in a very organized way for residents to kind of do a myriad of things. It's particularly helpful for stabilized tenants.
That was good. That was a good presentation.
Yeah.
I think it was just Fix, right?
Yeah. It's a team of 5. They don't have, it's just digital tools. There's no there are no phone lines or manpower, it's just tools for us to go online and consolidate information. Also, it allows us to understand which departments are speaking to which departments, how resident and tenant and building data is where it's supposed to go, and how to follow up if it doesn't go. More importantly, things like that. We've got newer agencies that are supposed to talk to much older agencies that have not necessarily been updated. So those databases don't. This is an attempt to cohesively sort of get that data out to the public in a very effective and comprehensive fashion.
That's fantastic.
And then we also talked about trying to get information out to the community residents, to let them know things that are going on with the board, and
we were working last week predominantly after that presentation, which was the bulk of the meeting. We were also trying to get the committee ahead of the ball on delivering information for voters for tomorrow or anyone who's already early voted in terms of understanding specifically props 2, 3, and 4 in detail and what that means for a community like this, which is a housing need community, not a housing rich community, circa Dumbo, Gowanus, Park Slope, and how that affects residents and the way in which they would vote, and how these props, the sort of presented changes that would go into the charter, the city charter would basically fast tracking, affordable housing, things like that, but also sort of like putting that information out in front of the residents to really understand that services and amenities are tied to development. They're not separate things. You can't lock down and lock out development housing in your district and then ask for new roads and sanitation and all those things. They're tied together. So understanding how those things work is sort of will really affect this community particularly because we are a rent burdened community in terms of there's not a lot of housing of ownership, and the ownership that we do have is very specific to small family homes, and how understanding how this is it's an area that is very attractive in its proximity to the park, in its proximity to the Botanical Gardens, and
You're telling everybody.
and the price of real estate and all of that. So I think I did after last Mondays, I did an in-depth analysis of which I'm happy to share my link with you guys. It's a couple pages, but it's very good in terms of understanding the pros and cons. It's not a perfect, even with the fast track things that they put in place. It's not a perfect system. There's pros and cons for both. But I think for voters in this district, understanding, what the proposals can bring, the risks that they bring as well, but also understanding how they empower the vote, how they empower us versus the status quo as it is right now, imparts a lot of that power to the council, and some people will really like that, some people may not, simply because it's a long bureaucratic process for change in the current system. If I would just start by saying, if we've seen the changes that we want to see in the current system, which most people I imagine are going to say no, that should be food for thought to sort of do some further digging and understanding, of what these three proposals are sort of trying to, the needle that they're trying to move. And sort of like, I think when I also went around last week talking to just like people in the park. I live right on the park, so I was talking to people to just get an idea of like, how are you thinking about this? What's going through your head? What are the, things that are like bullet points for you, and
I'm curious what the people say.
a lot of people said, sort of, a lot of people, most people, no one I spoke to was definitive. Most people were sort of on the fence, but like not a no, but looking to build toward a yes. They wanted more information. Most people were unsatisfied with the current system as it is in this district. And I can, obviously I think everyone can relate to as why, but sort of building an argument towards what a yes would mean and how that would influence the new responsibilities that would come with community board membership, because we would be taking on, in order for that to work, it means more information to the residents, right? Like, I think the big, where voters are sort of in a bind is that everybody's expecting, the mayor, the borough president, the council, you know, to sort of have our best interests at heart, and it really starts with us, right? Like, our district is so different from like District 2 or District 3 that we really have to understand what that means for us, but in a greater conversation, which I was trying to reach, and to your question, was what do we want it to look like 5 years down the road, right? What do we want it to look like, you know, 10 years down the road, right? So, I mean, in housing rich districts, Dumbo is not gonna really vote to take away council power because they like what they have. They like the riverfront properties that they have. They don't want to build 2 more buildings of affordable living because it's not in their best interest. But if we allow that to cascade throughout the city, we're going to have very segregated districts. That's just the reality of what it's going to look like, right? We've seen it in Williamsburg, we know what Wythe looks like, right? There is no incentive for anyone to put in affordable housing if they don't have to, and developers are a third party that don't care either way. They're in the business of profit and making, you know. So we do want to sort of discuss things like the oversight and the negotiating powers that city council already has with developers, but we also want to find out how we can impart some of that responsibility not solely with the council, right? Because that's how it's been done for decades. So how can we sort of impart those relationships away? I mean, we have my partner was with city planning and is very, very connected to he's an urban planner, so I have sort of an inside resource. You know, member deference should be a concern for everyone, right? When a proposal or a big project spends 7 months getting to fruition and everybody has voted it through all the checks and balances, through your local community board, through your borough president, through your, you know, city planning, and then you have one person in the district who has the power to shoot it down, that should be of concern. And right now in the current system, or I sort of like how it works in terms of leverage of power, when the council votes something down, it's pretty hard